Hey everybody, it's Rory from ANS Gear, and today we're going to learn how to do some general maintenance on your paintball markers. Okay, so we've got a Delta Elite here, and this goes for the Delta Elites, it goes for the G36 Elite, any of the Elite versions for this gun, or any gun that has an electric frame, a BT electric frame. So like the Combat or whatever, you've bought an electric frame and you're putting it on there, and all of a sudden it just stops shooting. But you pull the trigger, you have a good battery in it, the lights are on, and you hear it trying to click and trying to shoot, but nothing's happening. This could be the reason that we're going to talk about right here. So let's get the frame off of the gun first off and look inside of it, and we'll try to show you guys why this happens. It's a very simple fix. This requires you to kind of take the gun apart a little bit. Hopefully this solves your problem. I mean, the gun could be having some other kind of problems too, but this isn't going to solve, but let's just see. If the gun is cycling, but leaking, or cycling and sputtering, then this is not the problem that we're talking about. This is solely a gun that does not shoot. You cock the gun back, pull the trigger, it goes click, click, but does not shoot. This is the one we're looking at. Get the screws out the bottom here. And that should let us get this off. I can move this out of the way. All right, now we're going to get the frame out, or the trigger assembly out of there. Let's get our take our grips off. Okay. So inside here, I'm going to try to show you on this one. And this one's going to be a little bit more difficult to show you. Let me try to knock the pin out of here and see if this will slide out easily. On certain versions of this, this one, for say, the sear housing is part of the frame. On other versions, you can actually pull this whole assembly out and work on it that way. So it's a little bit different. But in here, see if you can see inside of here. It's pretty dark in there. Let me see. I'm going to try to do a little hammering here. This might not work because I don't actually have the right tools up here for this. We'll just see what it does. There we go. So I just knocked the pin right here. You can see the pin is sticking off the side right here. The pin goes through the top of the sear and lets the sear articulate like this. There's a spring that sits underneath the sear that makes the sear return to its original position right there. So every time the solenoid fires, here's our solenoid. Every time the solenoid fires, this is sitting inside of it, right? It's pinned up here. So the solenoid fires this way. It pushes the pin out like this. The sear up here drops, comes off the hammer, and the hammer slides forward. The sear, or the solenoid, returns to its original position, and then the sear rocks back under spring tension to its original starting position. Now what happens sometimes with these, if you look closely, you can see that there is a little set screw right there. Okay. Now this set screw controls the distance from the front of the sear arm right here, how far away from the solenoid it sits. Now every once in a while, this will it'll back itself out. It'll adjust itself so that it goes in too far. It'll go in, and you can see how easy it was for me to turn that. Like the Loctite or whatever they're using on that is not holding it as best as possible. So now this set screw, we've made it much longer than we had it before, is keeping the arm from getting close to the solenoid. So when the solenoid fires and moves forward, the pin that pops out inside of here, you can see the pin coming through. Here it moves back and forth inside there. When the pin comes forward, try to kick the sear arm right here to move it forward so that the sear that's caught on the hammer drops out of the way. It never actually reaches it. The pin or the set screw keeps it from being close enough to the pin where the pin can touch it and move it. So that it'll keep the gun from shooting. You'll pull the trigger, you'll hear the solenoid go click, 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 but the gun doesn't do anything. And it's most likely because this has moved and is out of position. So all you need to do is just back it up. Back it up so it's showing about, I usually put it so it's showing about 2 to 3 threads sticking out right there. So just a couple threads sticking out on there. And then put it back in and see if it works. And that has always solved the problem with these setups where this is happening. And it happens regularly enough where I need to do a video on it. So it's not just an every once in a while kind of thing. So to keep this from moving, this set screw from moving, and again, it's very, very loose as it is. So just shooting this gun a couple hundred times possibly will make this screw lose its position on there. If you go to your local hardware store and get some blue Loctite, put it on the screw. There is some on there already, but it's just not enough to help keep it from moving around in there. Some blue Loctite, put it on there, thread it in, and then let it dry. I would give it, 4 to 6 hours or so to dry. You can use the gun. And what it'll do is that blue Loctite will keep the vibration when the gun vibrates and is moving around. It'll help keep that screw from walking itself back out again. So once you have that adjusted, then we just go put it back together. And each one is going to be slightly different when you put it back together. This one, put the pin or the spring in the top. Then we're going to put our armature on top of that. We're going to push it down. And then we're going to push our pin back through so that it stays in place. And then I'm going to use my trusty hammer that is not a hammer and my punch that is not a punch to set that back into place so that it is flush again and it moves. And then we just go ahead and put this back together. So if you have a Delta Elite like this one, or you have just the G36 Elite, or you have taken any of the E-frames, the BT E-frames, and put it onto any of the BT guns, and you are running into a problem where you shoot the gun or you pull the trigger and you hear it click but nothing happens, this could be your problem. So look into it, open it up. It's, as you can see, it's very simple to determine and figure out. Look at that set screw, see where it is. You can actually just plug your battery in and have it set up like this and be pulling the trigger and just watch to see if the sear is moving and rocking back and forth. If it isn't, you know where your problem is. So an easy fix for the Delta, the G36, any of the Elite series, or anything with an electric frame on your guns from BT. Well guys, I hope this helps you out with any questions or concerns you have about your paintball gear or products. And as always, for all your paintball needs, shop ansgear.com.